Hello and welcome to The Extra Mile. I'm Linda BOUDREAUX. Our guest today is Clem Goldberger. She is representing the National World War II Museum in New Orleans. And we're going to be talking about what's going on at the museum and just veterans and Veterans Day in general. And so it's just a wonderful time of year to be talking about that. So Clem, thank you so much for coming up from New Orleans.
It's our pleasure.
And spending a little time talking about, well, let's start with talking about our veterans and how important they are.
Indeed, a wonderful group of men and women who have served abroad and at home really since the Revolutionary War and continue to serve today, our younger veterans from Iraq and Afghanistan. And we owe them quite literally our freedom and the preservation of our democracy.
And that is so true. And the museum, the National World War II Museum, was really founded and established in many ways to celebrate the work of the World War II vets.
Indeed, but we don't want to forget ever those from other eras and other conflicts and those who serve in peacetime as well. And during the month of November, of course, Veterans Day is November 11th, but we want to take the whole month and remind people that it's time. It's always time to thank our veterans. And we have created a companion website to the museum's own website. It's called myveteransday.org. It's very easy to find. If you're on the museum website, it will lead you there, or you can go directly to myveteransday.org. And what we want to do is collect 1 million thank yous.
Wow.
And we want your viewers to be a part of that. We're at about 325,000, so we still have a ways to go.
How long have you been doing this? You're about a third way there.
We started a year or a little more than a year ago.
Okay. Do we have forever to get our 1 million? I mean, is there a timeline on this?
Well, as soon as possible.
Okay. but we don't have to have it done by December 31st.
No.
Okay.
No.
Okay, making sure.
But there are many ways to say thank you, and the website will show you those ways. You can log on and tell a story about a veteran whom you know or in your family. You can snap a picture and post it as a tribute. You can even shoot a video and post that. And this really began from a video that still lives on the museum's website called Thank You for My Freedom. Which is so dear and touching, and it went viral, and it made us realize what an appetite there is for people to have an avenue to say thank you. And we encourage everyone to see that and be inspired and find their own way to say thank you.
Why do you think it's so important? What do you think it is within us that makes us want to thank and celebrate and honor veterans? And we do, you're right, there's like a need to do that. And
so many of us perhaps didn't even realize that need was there.
I think not, yeah.
And you didn't realize the itch was there until you scratched it, and you realized how wonderful it felt. So many of us have a military connection in our family, perhaps a combat connection, perhaps not. You and I both had dads who were in World War II. Many of my younger friends have relatives who have been to Iraq or Afghanistan. Right. Perhaps that middle generation had someone in one of the Gulf War conflicts. And
don't leave out Vietnam.
Don't forget Vietnam. I have a dear uncle who was really like my older brother, and he was in Vietnam as a physician for 2 tours of duty. And the military has touched us all in one way or another. And we would not have the country, the democracy that we have today without those who made sacrifices in leaving their families and going off to serve. And in many cases, they paid the ultimate sacrifice. But even those who didn't go abroad, who stayed and served in our own, 48 and later 50 states, paid a tremendous contribution. And it's always time to say thank you.
And you said an interesting thing a minute ago when you reminded us that, we have veterans who have served in peacetime. It isn't just people in the military that are serving during war.
Exactly.
And they make sacrifices too, don't they? You know?
Yes, anytime that you put your own life on hold and devote time and energy to military service, it is a sacrifice, and these men and women do it with full hearts, and we owe them a tremendous debt of gratitude. But the website is, it's a little odd to say that it's fun, but in a way that it is.
Well,
it's heart-touching. It puts a smile on your face and in your heart, and you will be delighted to see what other people have posted. It will inspire you to make your own posts. So I would love your viewers to go to myveteransday.org and to the museum's own website as well, and see all about it. So even if you might be seeing this after November 11th, there's still plenty of time to make your own memory on the website.
And I was telling you before we started the show, you know, Veterans Day is kind of has a special meaning to me because my dad, who was a World War II vet, died November 11/11/11.
That's so
which I thought was
extraordinary.
ironic, or something in its own way, that he decided that his time to leave this earth was going to be on Veterans Day.
His final salute.
I'm done. But it is, and I think when you start to think about the impact that those people have had on our lives, it's very powerful. It means a lot to all of us. So when the website, it's a place where we can go, I guess, and also through other people's memories, kind of share, have a shared experience.
Is that
what we're saying here?
And it can be as simple as sharing on Facebook and Twitter. I mean, this initiative has really come to life through social media, which is the way of the world for so many younger people today. And it's wonderful to see how they have become engaged and helped further the message through those media that are less familiar perhaps to some older folks, but even they are becoming involved with it in that way.
They're catching on.
Yes.
So when you get to your million, then what?
Oh, we'll keep going. There's no reason to stop at a million.
I was thinking, why could
we'll put an S on that million.
There you go. Phase 1 done.
Exactly.
So it's just going to stay up for as long as in the foreseeable future, and we'll be there for all of us to go and peruse, and we're having
and we also would love everyone, of course, to take a little jaunt from the Lafayette area and come over and see us in New Orleans. We do have World War II veterans still with us as volunteers every day, and to have the chance to interact with them and hear their stories in the first person is a very, very special experience.
And we won't be having that too many years, I don't think.
No, but they are still vibrant and
telling the tale.
Telling the tales, yeah.
I guess for those who don't know, we tend to think that everybody knows everything, but tell us again about the World War II Museum, the National World War II Museum, which is in New Orleans. In case somebody does not know the story behind it, I think it's wonderful.
Well, we were founded in the year 2000, and we've been expanding ever since. We were actually founded as the National D-Day Museum, but in 2003, Congress named us the official museum of the Second World War for the nation, and so it's
a big honor, isn't it?
It is an incredible honor. With that honor, though, came a mandate, which was to tell the entire epic story of this war that changed the world. So as part of that, we changed our name to the National World War II Museum. Originally, we had been concentrating on the amphibious landings of World War II that had been won, according to General David Eisenhower, later President Eisenhower.
Who knew what he was talking about?
We could not have won the war without the Higgins boats, those landing craft that were designed and built right in New Orleans. Many people became familiar with them when they saw Saving Private Ryan, and those incredible craft with the forward plank that came down and enabled men and vehicles to land over open beaches.
That was the key, wasn't it?
That was. Before that, all landings had to be made over ports, and which were always heavily fortified, and those Higgins landing craft enabled us to land over open beaches, and they were used in every amphibious landing in World War II on every continent. So,
but they were made in New Orleans.
Yes.
And Higgins was
Andrew Jackson Higgins was actually had begun his career in Mobile, and he was building oil field service vessels, and he realized that these shallow draft vessels could be adapted for military use, and more than 20,000 of them were built in New Orleans, and he built other types of craft as well, but the landing craft were the most iconic.
And that was his design.
Yes,
you know.
Yes, indeed. So that caught the fancy of Professor Stephen Ambrose, Dr. Stephen Ambrose, who, along with our current president, Dr. Nick Mueller, they were professors together at the University of New Orleans and lifelong friends, and they hatched this vision of a small museum dedicated to the amphibious landings of World War II. And the mission grew, the vision grew, the museum has grown, and we hope to finish this campus by 2016, while we still have World War II veterans to share it with us. We opened our most recent building last January. It was the United States Freedom Pavilion, the Boeing Center. It's extraordinary.
What's in there?
Well, I think that your viewers are seeing a picture of it behind us. But
tell us about it.
It presents aloft 6 World War II aircraft, the centerpiece of which is the Boeing B-17 My Gal Sal, and 5 other extraordinary World War II aircraft. And I hesitate to name them because I'm afraid I'll leave 1 or 2 out, but it is a sight to behold. The building itself is the equivalent of a 9 or 10-story building with a glass facade, so it is so powerful and striking, imposing a vision as you come upon it. There's also a submarine experience, the USS Tang submarine experience, which recreates the final war patrol of the most decorated submarine in World War II history.
So is that an interactive experience?
It is an interactive experience. And there's also a Congressional Medal of Honor gallery, also interactive. You can, there are touch screens. You can pull up the service record of each of the 464 gentlemen who were awarded the Congressional Medal of Honor during World War II. There are service galleries that tell you the contributions of each of the service branches who participated in World War II. It's a thrilling new addition to the museum campus.
Wow! So are people coming?
Yes, we're thrilled to say we have broken each of our monthly projections since the beginning of our current fiscal year.
Which began, you were July 1 fiscal year?
Exactly. So each of the past 4 months we have exceeded our projections, and we hope that trend continues. And actually we're coming into our busiest season, so we're very hopeful and confident that that will go on. And we want your viewers in the Lafayette region to be a part of that that crowd.
It's easy for us to get to New Orleans, and it would be.
It's a wonderful day trip.
And how long, if somebody was going to come from Lafayette, say for a day trip, how long would it take them to go through or to have the museum experience? How much time should they allow?
I would love them to allow 3 hours because there's so much wonderful material, and we have a delightful restaurant and a soda shop, so they can
take
a break.
Is it a 1940s kind of place, or is it a more contemporary?
The soda shop has a 1940s feel to it. The restaurant.
When you said soda shop, that's what I
exactly. Thought. The restaurant is a little more contemporary, but it has some nostalgic touches on the menu. But we also have a stage door canteen, which does Wednesday matinees and then weekend evening and Sunday brunch matinees, and that recreates the entertainment of the 1940s.
Oh, now that sounds like great fun. That sounds like so if anybody wanted to go down like on a Wednesday or a Sunday, they could catch, and the matinee happens at what times?
The Wednesday matinees are at 12, there's lunch and then the matinee, exactly. And I believe the Sunday brunch matinee starts at 11. But all of this is on the website.
Okay, so check it out, and then you can just kind of plan a wonderful day trip to New Orleans and visit the museum. Who goes? Who goes to the museum? Is it like grown-ups? Is it schools? Is it
all of
families?
the above. In the spring semester particularly, which is when the school curricula deal with the World War II era, we have just school groups, one on top of the other.
Are they coming from all over the state, Clem?
Yes,
okay.
yes.
Okay.
I mean, certainly heavily from the New Orleans area, but even out of state, we get school groups throughout the Gulf South. And we have tremendous numbers of adult groups as well.
So it's just anybody that wants to take a little trip can do that.
There's something for everyone, and it is priceless to see how fascinated and engaged each group is in different ways. People find different areas of fascination and engagement, but of course, Beyond All Boundaries, our 4D film, which Tom Hanks produced for us, continues to be our centerpiece attraction, and people come out of it just so thoughtful and so moved. It's 45 minutes, and it, I believe, is just the ideal way to begin your visit to the museum, because it sets the stage for everything that you will see and learn.
So what does it do? What is it?
It's an overview of World War II, and for those who don't know that much about the war, it gives you a framework to understand everything that you will see in the museum, to understand that this truly was a world war, that America was drawn into it unprepared by the shocking attack at Pearl Harbor, that we were 19th in the world in terms of military readiness, behind Romania.
We didn't want to fight.
We were a bit of an isolationist nation, and how we had to gear up virtually overnight, how we became the arsenal of democracy for ourselves and our allies, and how it truly became the watchword of the nation: we're all in this together. And women went to work in the factories, the classic Rosie the Riveter, while the men went off to war. And children learned how to knit, and in their school class recess time, they were knitting socks and scarves for the soldiers. And there were war bonds, and all of the celebrities of Broadway and Hollywood did war bond drives, and how different an experience it was for minorities, but yet they participated.
Because Native Americans, African Americans, all of them,
Japanese Americans,
Japanese Americans too, everybody got involved.
Everybody got involved, but for them, many of them were fighting wars on two fronts.
Yeah,
they were fighting prejudice at home and enemies abroad. And yet there were fruits of victory, because we had this hard-fought war with devastating consequences in many areas, certainly lives lost, and but yet look what came out of it: advances in science and medicine, advances in human rights and civil rights, women's rights. So we try to tell the entire story of World War II, and that's why we call it the war that changed the world. It really did.
So one thing you said that I hadn't really thought about before, but it sounded like, correct me if I'm wrong, it was really World War II because of World War II, or through that experience that the United States became like the peacekeeper of the world. Prior to that, we really weren't too concerned, I guess, with getting involved in keeping peace abroad or
I hesitate to go too far in that direction because I'm not a historian.
You're not the expert.
But there were, politically, there were many people in positions of power, in the legislative branch of government who did not want us to be involved in international politics before World War II. But once Pearl Harbor was attacked, there were
everything
no naysayers.
No holds barred at that point.
Exactly.
And the other thing I think most of us don't realize is the impact then that World War II had on civil rights, on just human rights in very many ways.
Yeah.
Why do you think that was? Just, this is an opinion question. What do you think happened? Because you're surrounded by it. You spend your days over there.
Well, certainly in terms of women's rights, I'll use that as an example. Once the women went to work in the factories and earned a living and supported the household while the men were abroad, I don't think they were going to be content to just go back to the life they had had before.
It's hard to keep Rosie down once she's up.
So that, that's one example. I think for, other minorities, they still had a long fight ahead of them after the war because it took a long time post-World War II for the civil rights legislation to be enacted. So,
but the rumbling started. They've probably been going on anyway.
It was, there were baby steps, but it still took a long time. But I think eyes began to be opened, and the possibilities of what could be, began to be seen.
Okay, and so so it really did change everything. And the museum itself focuses on all of these things, doesn't it? I mean, or it highlights.
We're beginning to, for example, a future exhibition pavilion, which will be our last major pavilion to be built in about 2 years, is called the Liberation Pavilion, and it will deal with the Holocaust, but also will deal with these issues that we've just been talking about.
The social issues and the outcome.
Exactly.
Because you really don't think about it. You think, okay, they went, they did their job, they came home, they had families, and la-da-da-da-da, but things really did change. Yeah. So, I don't know, maybe everybody doesn't know where you are. Where is the museum located in New Orleans?
We're very near Lee Circle, which is a landmark for many people in New Orleans. We're in what's called the Warehouse Arts District. We're right off of Camp Street on Andrew Higgins Drive.
Where else?
So we're on Andrew Higgins Drive between Camp and Magazine Street, and I'm proud to say we've become sort of a landmark.
I would hope so.
Ourselves.
By this time.
We're right off of the streetcar line and the bus line, and very easy to find. So. You can't miss us in the Warehouse District.
Okay. And before we close, I want to talk again about thanking your website. Please. Now, tell us again about that real quick.
myveteransday.org. It's a perfect time, a perfect month to go to that website or to the museum's own website and thank a veteran, help us reach that 1 million thank yous. And you can do it by writing, by snapping a picture and posting it, shooting a video and posting it, but tell a veteran, thank you for my freedom.
Okay, I think that's a wonderful thing for all of us to do, and simple enough. So do that during November, and it will be there for you, for your children, for your grandchildren, forever, because that website ain't coming down. It's not coming down. Clem, thank you so much for joining us again today. It's really great to have you. I hope that people from the Acadiana area will go and see the museum. It's a wonderful opportunity for us all. Again, Clem, thank you.
Thank you so much.
And thank you for watching The Extra Mile.